You've wasted more time than you realize. It wasn't just days. It was years that slipped away without leaving anything to remember. Years when you woke up, did what you had to do, and went to sleep, without realizing you were living on autopilot. And when you realized it, it was too late to get back what you lost. When we were kids, every day felt like a whole universe. Summer vacations dragged on forever because everything was new. Your first friend, your first bike, your first fear, and your first dream. Time expanded because we were truly alive, recording every detail as if it were the first time. Today, it's not the clock that's running faster. It's you who has stopped living with the same intensity. The years began to fade from your memory like blank pages. Routine took over, and novelty became rare. Each day became just a copy of the previous one, and your brain learned not to store any of it. That's why, when you look back, the last decade seems to have disappeared. You didn't live, you just existed. And this perception is not just a whim of the mind, it is a real phenomenon, explained by neuroscience, philosophy, and even mathematics. With each passing year, each new period represents a smaller fraction of your life, and that's why it seems to go by faster. But there's something even more cruel. The longer you live without novelty, without emotion, and without presence, the more your own history compresses, as if it never happened. This is the truth that no one likes to face. Time will not slow down for you. On the contrary, if you continue living like this, the feeling that it is flying by will only increase. And one day, perhaps, you will wake up and realize that 20, 30, or 40 years have passed since the last time you truly felt alive. And at that moment, there will be nothing you can do to get them back. But there is still something you can do now, if you have the courage to change. And that's what we're going to talk about. Because the only way to prevent the next year from becoming another blurry smudge in your memory is to understand how time works within you, and how to make it your ally again. I realized that when I was a child, every day seemed like a lifetime. Summer vacations were oceans of time, where every experience was new and intense. Today, the years slip through my fingers like fine sand, and I wonder if time has really sped up or if I've stopped living it fully. Neuroscience explains that my brain doesn't measure time like a clock. It perceives it according to the amount of new information I receive. When I encounter new things, my brain registers more details, and each moment expands. But with repetition, with predictable routines, the days merge and disappear. That's why childhood seems long. It was full of firsts. Riding a bike, changing schools, the first kiss. Each of these milestones created a deep impression. In adulthood, settled into familiar routines, I lose those reference points and the years become a blur. This perception is reinforced by something French philosopher Paul Janet called the proportionality of time. For a 5-year-old, a year is 20% of their life. For someone aged 50, it is only 2%. It's not just math, it's pure psychology. The smaller the fraction that a year represents, the faster it seems to pass. When I look back, I realize that my 20s flew by, while my teenage years seemed endless. And I know this isn't just nostalgia. It's my brain processing time differently. Routine is the great invisible accelerator. It gives me stability, but it also sucks the life out of each day, turning it into a sterile repetition. The brain is a selective archivist. It only stores what it considers relevant or different. When I travel, learn something new, or experience a challenge, it lights up and records everything in detail. But when I wake up, follow the same route, talk to the same people, and perform the same tasks, it compresses everything as if it had never happened. It's autopilot, that state where even driving from home to work becomes a vacuum in your memory. The danger is not just feeling that time is running out. It's looking back and having nothing to remember. Emotionally intense moments, good or bad, dilate time. A day of deep joy or extreme challenge remains vivid in my memory, as if it had lasted longer. That's why trips, achievements, or even significant losses are engraved in our minds. In contrast, dull, neutral months disappear from our mental record, leaving only the feeling that life has passed too quickly. Worse still, the absence of these intense moments creates the illusion that I have lived nothing worth remembering. And so I ask myself, how many days of my life have been mere survival without presence, without novelty, without emotion? How many of them have I really lived? When I was a child, each day seemed like a lifetime. Summer vacations were oceans of time, and each experience had the weight of a discovery. Learning to ride a bike, changing schools, the first kiss, the first true friendship. Today the years slip through my fingers like fine sand, and I wonder if time has really sped up, or if I've stopped living it for real. Neuroscience says that my brain doesn't measure time like a clock. It perceives it according to the amount of new information I receive. When I experience new things, I register more details and each moment expands. But when life falls into repetition, everything blends into an indistinct mass and time seems to disappear. French philosopher Paul Janet explained this with his theory of time proportionality. For a 5-year-old, a year is 20% of their life. For someone aged 50, it's only 2%. Math mixes with psychology. The smaller the fraction that a year represents, the faster it seems to pass. That's why my 20s flew by while my teens seemed endless. But there's something else. Routine is the great invisible accelerator. It gives me stability, but it also empties my days. The brain is a selective archivist. It only stores what it considers relevant or different. When I travel, learn something new, or face a challenge, it records everything clearly. But when I follow the same route, see the same people, and repeat the same tasks, it compresses everything as if it never happened. It's autopilot. That state where even driving from home to work becomes a vacuum in your memory. The danger is not just feeling that time is passing. It is looking back and having nothing to remember. Emotionally intense moments, good or bad, dilate time. A day of deep joy or extreme challenge remains alive in my memory, as if it had lasted longer. Lukewarm, neutral months disappear from my mental record, leaving the feeling that life has passed too quickly, and worse, without leaving any marks. How many days of my life have been mere survival, without presence, without novelty, without emotion? How many of them did I really live? This question echoes what St. Augustine reflected centuries ago. Time does not exist outside the mind. The past lives only in memory. The future is only expectation, and the present is a fleeting instant that dissolves the moment I try to grasp it. If this is true, time does not speed up. It is I who fail to live it consciously. Martin Heidegger took this provocation further. To live without perceiving time is to live alienated, trapped in shallow distractions and automatic tasks, forgetting that each day is finite. To ignore the passage of time is to ignore life itself. These ideas force me to confront the central question: am I living in time, or just existing within it? The answer is not to lengthen the days, but to make them denser. Breaking the routine, introducing small changes, seeking the new. All of this creates milestones in memory. Mindfulness is another path, being present in a conversation, savoring a meal, walking while feeling the wind on your face. And emotions, whether mild or intense, are what give weight to our days. A year full of new experiences is longer than a decade of repetition. Time does not speed up on its own. It is I who, by falling into inertia, allow it to disappear. And if I want it to expand again, I need to decide to live each moment with presence and purpose. The problem is that I often live as if I have infinite time. I put off projects, trips, important conversations, and changes that I know would make a difference, always believing that one day will come, but that later is treacherous. It usually never happens. Studies on regret at the end of life show a painful pattern. People rarely regret what they did, but almost always regret what they didn't do. It's not just the big decisions like changing careers or moving to another country, but also the small gestures: calling someone I love, saying something I felt, stopping to live a simple moment. Ignoring the passage of time is like living on autopilot. The more I let inertia carry me along, the faster it seems to go by. When I'm distracted, worried, or indifferent, it slips away without me noticing. But when I'm present, truly immersed in an experience, it expands. The danger is not just feeling that time is running out. It's waking up one day and realizing that years have passed without me really living them. Time is not an infinite resource. Every day I let slip by without intention is a day that will never come back. This feeling of acceleration is not physical, but psychological and existential. My brain interprets time according to my experiences and emotions. As a child, the world was uncharted territory. Every day brought something new. Today, I repeat patterns, avoid risks, and choose the familiar. The problem is not just routine, but how much I allow it to consume me. Neuroscience explains that new experiences create more memory traces, making time feel longer. Heidegger warned that living on autopilot is wasting existence. Saint Augustine reminded us that time only exists in consciousness, which means I can shape it. So what do I do with this knowledge? I can continue to let the days dissolve, or I can use it to transform my relationship with the present. If I want to feel that time is longer and denser, I need to truly be in it. This means seeking new experiences, allowing myself to feel deeper emotions, and connecting with those around me. It means stopping putting off life for an uncertain future. Time is an enemy to those who merely survive, but for those who fill it with meaning, it becomes an ally. And when I am completely present, I realize that it does not run, it expands. The feeling that the years go by too fast doesn't have to be an inevitable sentence. I can transform each moment into something more meaningful, extraordinary, and memorable. This requires a conscious choice, to live actively, instead of letting life carry me like a silent river flowing to a destination I didn't choose. When I realize that time is shaped by the experiences I create, I understand that I have more control than I imagined. Being present is not an unattainable mystical state, but a trainable habit. It means turning off autopilot, noticing the little things. The sound of rain on the window, the peaceful breathing when I wake up, the look of someone who loves me. Every detail I notice is an anchor point in the now. The more anchors I place in the present, the longer it stretches. And when I add that to the search for novelty, a place I've never visited, a skill I've never tried, a conversation that avoids the obvious, I am, in fact, expanding my life. I also need to cultivate emotional intensity. I'm not talking about living in extremes all the time, but about allowing certain moments to wash over me completely. A hard-won victory, a challenge that seemed impossible, an unexpected reunion. These are the experiences that create milestones in my memory and make me feel that time was well spent. And there is something I cannot ignore: human connections, deep conversations, shared laughter, hugs that don't measure time. These interactions not only remind me of who I am, but also create vivid memories that resist forgetting. The more I invest in these relationships, the more I feel that I am living, not just existing. If time seems to slip away, it's because I've failed to mark my path with meaningful experiences. But if I start to create and value these moments, time ceases to be a fast flow and becomes fertile ground where every second counts. And deep down, that's what defines a life well lived. Not the number of years I spend in the world, but the density of life I put into each year. I look back and realize that time has never been my enemy. It is I who have often put my life on autopilot. It's not that the years have really sped up, it's that I stopped building memories worth remembering. It's as if I lived more in survival mode than in presence mode. And that's dangerous, because the day I realize this is missing may be the day I no longer have much time left to change. What I've learned is that the speed at which I feel time passing doesn't depend on the calendar, but on the density of my experiences. When each day is a repetition of the previous one, my brain sees no reason to record details. But when I bring in something new, break patterns, and allow my emotions to flow, each minute gains weight. That's the key. Stop putting off life for a later that may never come. I remember Heidegger's words: "To live unconsciously is to waste existence." And St. Augustine: "Time only exists in my consciousness." When I combine these ideas with neuroscience, I see that I have the power to shape how I experience time. I can make a month seem long and memorable, not by changing the clock, but by changing my presence. I start with small breaks. I change my route home, try a dish I've never eaten, read about something I don't understand, allow myself to talk to someone outside my circle. Each gesture is a seed of memory. Then I cultivate genuine emotions. I don't run away from feeling. I don't try to control everything all the time. Because even pain, when it transforms me, can be a milestone that expands my perception. And above all, I invest in human connections. A deep conversation can last minutes and still become an eternal moment. A heartfelt hug, a look that says more than words, a laugh that echoes after it ends. That's what anchors time and gives meaning to life. It's not the number of days, but how much life I put into them. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you recognizes this truth. Time will not slow down on its own. It's up to us to create a life worth living. And if this video has helped you see that more clearly, show your support now with a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next reflections. Your presence here is what keeps this space alive and motivates me to continue bringing content that provokes real change. If you want to go further, consider contributing any amount. Every gesture strengthens our mission to transform the way we live and perceive time. And to show that you are truly committed to making this change in your life, write the phrase "live intensely" in the comments. It will be your public commitment that from now on, each day will have more purpose, more presence, and more life.